Hello, friends, it's Dr. J, and I'm going to take you on this journey of just understanding 15 laws of growth by my mentor, John Maxwell. The first one is the law of intentionality, where John talks about growth doesn't just happen. And it's right here in his book, but John talks about some gaps. And these are gaps that we have in our lives. And these gaps, they just stop us from growing. And so I'll share these gaps with you. You have the assumption gap. The assumption gap says that I assume that I will automatically grow. I don't know about you, but how many times have you met someone or you know someone who will just say, one day I'll grow up? Isn't that amazing? That's the assumption gap. It's not an assumption. Growth doesn't just happen. John talks about the knowledge gap. Now, the knowledge gap is interesting. I don't know how to grow. And in this chapter, John clearly states that there's some differences. Sometimes we know that we know. Sometimes we know that we don't know. Sometimes we know that we know and we need to grow. And so growth doesn't just happen. We have to be intentional. The other gap is the timing gap. Now, I think maybe I've done that a couple of times, but the timing gap says it's not the right time to begin. Oh my goodness, how many times have you decided to do something and you're like, you're so onto it, but it's not the right time to begin? When is the right time? I tell you what, when I look at my clock, I don't see where it says someday, because the time is actually the time you're looking at. The other gap is the mistake gap. Now, the mistake gap is very important because people are afraid of making mistakes. They say, oh, I'm so afraid. I don't know if I'm gonna, if things are gonna go right. Maybe I'll fail, so I don't want to make a mistake. And so, as a result, growth doesn't just happen. All right. The perfection gap. Now, where are my perfectionists? Raise your hand if you're a perfectionist, because you know what perfectionists, they say, I have to find the best way before I begin. Now, I'm a DISC consultant. I'm on the high I, if you know what that is, right? I'm a risk taker. I want to try things, and if it works, I'm going to go for it. John talks about the inspiration gap. Now, the inspiration gap says that I don't feel like doing it. I just don't feel like doing it. I'm not inspired to do that right now. How many people do you know? I don't know if that's you, but I know for me, I'm going to jump and I'm going to build my way down. Let's talk about the other gap. It's the comparison gap. Comparison gap says others, oh, they do so much better than me. Well, TD Jake says that if you think the grass is greener on the other side, you better water your grass. You have to be intentional mentally. You have to prepare yourself. You have to want that thing so bad that you get up and do it, because growth doesn't just happen. Let's talk about the other gap, is the expectation gap. Now, John says the expectation gap is, I thought it would be easier than this. Well, what, folks? If it's easy, it's not worth it. That's what I really think. I told my kids, I spent 14 years in school just to be where I am. Everything uphill is worthwhile. So if you're going after anything and it's so easy that you could just snap your finger, you got it, check it out. You never know. My husband would say, if you buy cheap, you buy twice, right? And so I wanted to think about, but John talks about these 15 laws of growth. And so again, these 15 laws of growth, I really just want to share the law of intentionality with you, because my friends, growth doesn't just happen. I hope that I'll get a chance to share the second law with you. And as we get into this, enjoy this moment. Stay beautiful, stay fabulous, and always stay motivated. It's Dr. J. Thank you.